Hey guys, today we're in the book of First Chronicles chapter 3. So remember, this is after the exile, and he's giving hope to people looking for this new king that God has promised to bring them peace, hope, joy, all the things that God has promised them. And so now we start with the descendants of David, right? So if we're looking in Judah, where do you look? Where don't you look? And now we're going to follow the line of David. From David, who came after him? So we can trace all the way through. So now we can see where we're supposed to be looking at, okay? And so in this list, there's a bunch of people, a couple people I want to point out. Verse 3, it says, by his wife Eglah. Now, if you go back and you read Samuel, you're not going to find Eglah, but this is the same person as Michal, the daughter of Saul. So there's two names. A lot of people have different names just depending on area and languages, but Eglah, Michal, same name. Also, in that same thought is in verse 5. You're going to see for by Bathshua. Bathshua. You go back to Samuel, you're not going to see Bathshua. This is Bathsheba, okay? Bathsheba. It's just one vowel difference, but it's the same person, right? So that's Bathsheba. Then, starting in verse 10, you want to make this note in your Bible. This will help you, okay? So from verse 10 to verse 15, this is chronological order from King David to the exile, okay? So everything that we just read from Samuel to Kings, this is it in 5 verses. And if you have your king chart, okay, you can literally just read it down under the Judah-Jerusalem side, right? So we start with David, and David went to Solomon, then you have Rehoboam, and I'm not going to read through this list, but it is in chronological order except for one. There's one person missing in this list, and that is Athaliah. Athaliah is missing. And if you remember, she's missing because it's Ahab's daughter, right? So for a brief moment, Athaliah, the mother, right? She took over and she is not in here because she is not a descendant of David, okay? So that's very important. So as you're reading through your king's list, everybody's there minus Athaliah. Then you get to verse 17. Right? So verses 10 through 16 is from David to the exile. And verses 17 through 24, through the end of the chapter, this is the exile till the chronicler is writing, okay? So several hundred years after, right? So you kind of have this idea. So you have David to the exile, and then you have exile to beyond. And as you read these names, you don't know these names. Because for one, we haven't read about them yet, right? Because this is post-exile. This is after Babylon. So during Babylon and after Babylon, because why? This is the line that the new David is coming from. He just spent all of chapter 2 telling us Caleb's line, where not to look in the tribe of Judah. Now we're seeing where do we look, right? Because all of these Jews are saying, oh, God has forgotten us. He's abandoned us. He's not sending us the new king. And here the writer is writing and saying, no, he is. Here's where you look, right? So here's David all the way to the exile. And now after the exile, they had a kid. And so the new king still has a way. God's promise is not broken. There's still hope. And that's the most important message of all of Chronicles. There's still hope. Hope that makes a little bit more sense, and we will see you tomorrow in chapter 4. God bless.